Yasmin Gregory, you're standing for the Green Party here at the ward of Old Harlow. Firstly, why are you standing?
Because there's only so many letters that I can write, Michael. You know, I get a bit between my teeth and I have to get an answer that satisfies me, and then I can perhaps move on to something else. But I was actually asked by a couple of politicians in the last few years, had I ever considered it, and I'm like, no, I haven't got time for that. But they planted the seed, so I thought to myself, well, why not? Let's give it a go. Let's just see what I can do. I've got no preconceived ideas. What I want to do is just understand how decisions that are made in the council in Harlow, how they affect me, a resident in Old Harlow, how it affects my neighbours, because I don't understand on some of these bigger projects how they've got where they are, and I didn't even know about them.
And very much your approach pre-being a candidate in different aspects of life, for example the cycling and cycle tracks, is as a problem solver, isn't it? You've got a problem, as opposed to moaning about it, you're going to try and solve this problem. Is that your approach in all aspects of your policies being a Green candidate?
I think what I tend to do is I identify a problem and I ask other people, you know, do you see it as a problem? Or perhaps it's just me. But with the cycle paths, that started off in when we had lockdown, is because I was using them a lot more and I was appalled at the state of them. So I did a presentation in August 2020 to the Essex County councillors, and Councillor Leslie Wagland being one of them, and I just asked, you know, I want to go from A to B, not to A&E, so what can you do? What can you do to fix this? And she did actually come up with a solution to a point where she asked the four councillors to identify, the four county councillors, to identify defects, as they call these potholes, and she would identify 50 of them and she would give money to deal with them. Now, I'd done some work with the previous leader of the council, which is Mark Ingle, and we identified which 10% belonged to Harlow Council, and then the rest belonged obviously to the county council. And then of course then we had full lockdown, and the momentum was gone, unfortunately.
So for example, another thing that I believe, things like Junction 7A, that's going swimmingly, isn't it? Or have you still got concerns about Junction 7A and its implications for the residents of this ward?
The problems we have is linked with Junction 7A and also the new development at Gildon Park, which has affected some of the residents of the Oxleys, who have asked me to intervene because they've got nowhere with the development structure, and they've also been told that things have been happening and they haven't been happening. So I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll try and establish what actually has been happening. With Junction 7A, what we have is a missed opportunity for anybody who wanted to think of using a bike for commuting and to reduce their usage of the car because they don't want to sit in traffic, they want to get a bit healthier. And what we have is all these lanes coming off of a Junction 7A, which I believe the decision was made like over 30 years ago. Well, over 30 years ago, we weren't considering, you know, there was a climate crisis. You know, what we're doing now, you know, at those, you know, 30 years ago, they were saying, yeah, you need to like change your deodorant, don't use the deodorant. Whereas now it's like we understand that there are serious problems. So the fact that they're looking at ways of increasing traffic, which is going to have a detrimental effect on the pollution and on the roads. Our roads in Harlow are already bad. It's all very well putting new tarmac down from Junction 7A down to Mark Hall roundabout, but you start looking at some of the side roads, you look at the hill, you look at going into Old Harlow around at the bottom of the high street, and it's accidents waiting to happen, Michael.
It's a big ward. It's probably too big now, since you know. But what type of feedback have you got from when you're going out and about the streets? Are you getting a positive feedback?
Yes, yeah, really positive. And I think it's because people feel as if they are given a choice now. And we've had people contacting us asking for posters, and we actually had to do a run of some more posters because we did run out. I'm still trying to leaflet. I'm still, I work full time, so I'm still trying to leaflet in my spare time. But you can't leaflet obviously at 9 o'clock at night. You have to think of the residents.
But it's had Joel Charles has been its councillor for 8 years. He's done a good job, hasn't he? Why would you want to replace Joel Charles?
Well, I personally don't know Joel. What we've done is we've had a few exchanges, letter exchanges, and I would say to anybody who voted for him before, I think it was 15% of the total voting population for Old Harlow who voted for him. Very low turnout, but 15% of people voted for Joel, and if he has helped you in those last 8 years, then stick with him. I'm not going to say to you don't vote for Joel. I'm sure he's a really, really nice guy. But what I will say is to the voters that have said it's not worth voting anymore, they've stuck their voting card in the drawer, they've just left it. What I'm saying to them, if you're not going to use it, then give it to me.
What are you going to gauge as success on Thursday night, Friday morning?
Waking up, Michael. To wake up, because that's when the real work will start, because we will start planning what we're going to do in a year's time. We're a very, very young group. We've only been going a few months really, and it's great. We've got a real good buzz about what we're doing. We know what we're doing, but to get people who are not interested in voting, they think it doesn't concern them, how do you change that in 4 or 5 weeks? It's very difficult. So what we do is I'm going to be working to ways that we can engage and do more things that people can relate to, and of course my door is always open.
And again, we're actually talking about community. We are down in Newhall. We're at New Ground Cafe. Other cafes are available and other parties are available.
Yes.
But it's a hub of activity. Now, one thing I know that you've taken a great interest in is venues for people to go, including things like music venues. Harlow really needs a replacement for places like the Square, don't they?
Yeah, 2017 was a very sad day indeed for music lovers. It really was. There was no alternative. No alternative. You can say, well, you can go to little pubs and that, but they didn't have that for 2 years during lockdown. And you had, so 2017, the Square closed. Here we are in 2022. So if you went to a school at 11 years old, you've lost all those years, those formative years of where you're discovering your taste in music and, going home to your parents saying, I want my room painted black, all those things. And we need it, Michael, we really do. And
so finally, you've got the 10 candidates, you're all working hard, you seem very much Team Green, don't you? And this isn't just a one-off, this is like year zero, the Tiny Acorns?
Yeah, sure. This is it. We're going out, we're talking to people in the community, we're asking people to complete our 60-second survey, which you'll find on our website, and we're getting people to tell us. I'm not saying to them, oh yeah, potholes. It might be something else, and it matters to that person. If somebody says to me, well, I really don't like how they drive really too fast down this road, I'm not going to say to them, oh well, you'll get used to it, or why don't you sleep in the back bedroom? It's like, that's concerning that person. And the other thing that I think we need to address, Michael, is that it's all very well using smartphones and me saying, go onto our website. There is a group of people, a whole range of people who want to read papers. They're not all digital. They need to phone up, they need to talk to people, and I've met people like that out and about, and it's reaching out to those people and saying, you know what, you can contact me this way. You see me walking past your door, shout out, leave a leaflet in your post box so I know to call in and see you. It's opening up things like that to people to make you talk. If we want an inclusive community, you have to do things like that. It's not just go online.
Yasmin Gregory, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Michael.